stainless steel appliances from fingerprints, grease, and make them totally maintenance free for life. What we're going to need is the cleaner, which is the rejuvenator, which is the Everbright product CR24. You may have purchased the ready-to-use version in the trigger spray, which is simple to use. I'll be using that today. This is a concentrate which you need to dilute, so I'll pop that to one side. Also, you'll need the green microfiber for cleaning, and you'll need the PC279 Protect Clear product for the application of the coating. This will be applied via a lint-free cloth or a sponge. I might use a sponge today, depending on what you've got in your kit. I'm going to be wearing some gloves because this does tend to dry the hands out. There's nothing here that's hazardous in any way, but this could make your hands very dry. I'll be using a bowl of water to rinse down with, and I've got some kitchen towels so I can dry it off quickly. You can leave it to dry naturally, or we can do it quickly. So, how to proceed? Well, we'll put this all to one side and I'll get my work started. This is very heavily stained. It's got the usual fingerprints on it and muck stains on the top. Firstly, we need to get that cleaned, and with the CR24 is a deep cleaner. It doesn't use any acids, and it's pH neutral. So I'll put my gloves on. It's got a soap agent in it as well as a degreaser. I've actually got it on squirt, so we'll put it on spray. It might be. There we go. I'll just do the top to start off with and we'll work through. So just enough on there, let it soak in. It's always good with using the green microfiber that comes with the kit. It's always good to go with the grain. In this case it's circular, so I'll go around in circles, making sure we get all the dirt and grease. This will help the coating stick as well as make the appliance look fantastic. We'll move to the sides. This is probably still enough on the cloth to be going on with. Right round, maybe just a little bit more spray of the CR24 chromium deep cleaner. And again, you'll find because of the microfiber, if you try and go this way, it actually drags. This way makes it easier. So it's actually pulling all the grease and dirt, anything out of the actual grooves. Now when you come to plastics, it's not a problem. You go over the plastic as well, make sure everything's clean and done nicely, and we'll work our way all the way around. The other reason for wearing gloves is of course that I'm not creating more fingerprints, so that's quite useful in itself. At this stage you'll probably find that it's pretty well covered. We've got everything out. We then take the bowl of water. I mean, you can use your sink, obviously, that's just as easy, and soak the microfiber, because now we're just going to rinse free. So we're just going to rinse off with fresh water. There we go, get the top done, and just make sure we've got rid of all the residues. I possibly, with something this size or smaller, I'd put it in the sink and give it a rinse down, just to make sure I've got rid of all the residue. But just to be absolutely sure, we can use a bit of kitchen roll, just to make sure we've got it dry. Now at this point you need to inspect. Once it's dried, you need to look at it and say, are you completely happy with the finish? That we've got rid of all the fingerprints, grease marks, any blemishes on the surface. If there are dents, unfortunately there's nothing much we can do there, but certainly with everything else we're able to do that, and it looks brand new now. The deep cleaner certainly is probably one of the best stainless steel cleaners on the market, because it draws all the contaminants out of the grooves. So we've now completed that first section, and I'm quite happy at this stage. I'm having a good look round. Firstly, is it clean enough? Are there any marks that I've possibly missed? And is it dry? Now, if it's a complicated item, you may want to leave it to dry for a little while. Should you have found that there's I'm not sure, there might be a mark there, what we can do is get back to our cloth and just give it a little extra rub, because the microfiber is designed in such a way it's full of little claws and it will pull out anything else. There's a tiny little mark there, but trust me, once the thing is coated, you don't want any marks underneath the coating, so this is essential that we get it absolutely 100%. It's not, so that looks pretty good to me. Looks like it was when I first bought it from the shop, and that no one's been near it. Okay, so now we're ready to go to phase 2, which is applying the PC Protector Clear 279. Now this is a very hard coating, and it's, if you understand the pencil scale of scratch testing, it's H8. Now on that scale, granite is H6, so you must understand it's pretty tough stuff. It's also extremely thin. If you could measure it, it's 3 to 5 microns, so you won't see that it's on the coating, other than the fact there'll be a slight darkening of the stainless steel. So we crack the bottle open. Now I'm going to use, because of the shape of this, the sponge applicator. Now you can of course use the lint-free applicator that comes with the kit, and or you can use the high density foam. I like to use it because it's simple. As I pop it in the top there, like that, tip the bottle up and get a full load of coating on there. Now, worth noting that this, because this is so thin, the coating goes for miles. This little bottle will probably do all the appliances in your kitchen, including the oven and anything else that you have. Should you have a big American freezer, you may want a bigger kit, or double up on this. So now that's in there, you can see the coating is soaked onto the sponge, and the application method is quite simple. You just wipe it on, and if you'll see, I'll go halfway across, and you'll see that we've got half of it coated already. Now again, I would advise that you go with the grain. So we go with the grain. Any bubbles, anything like that, just keep wiping, I would avoid getting it on the plastic sections. It's quite simple with this applicator, because we can simply get up to it without touching it and follow that ridge round. Now you'll find as we go that the sponge will need topping up slightly, so we'll top it up. Now if you wish to do the plastics, it's entirely up to you. It makes them very shiny. Now that's a look that some people like and some people don't. I'll continue around with the front. I would sort of select an area, say okay, I'm by the pedal there now, I know where I'm going, so I can just wipe across and wipe across. Again, round the pedal area and in here and then around. And you can clearly see, you can see where you've been. And there we have it. So then I'm going to rotate a tiny bit more. And for the purpose, you can see that clearly now where it is and where it isn't. Certainly I can, hopefully you'll be able to see it on the video. Pulling it round to, along with the grain, nicely coated in. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to coat the plastic, so you get an idea of what that looks like. Okay, it's worth noting again at this stage that if you're doing an appliance that has a brand name on it, if it's painted on or a transfer, it may be affected by the coating. So you have to make a decision. The decision you have to make is, do you want the brand name to remain? And if it's an instruction on an oven, you want it to remain. Or are you quite happy for it to be removed? First and foremost with all of these, of our products, is you should test a small area first. I'm just going to top this up. So you get a little bit, a tiny bit, and put it near where the logo is or the brand name and see if it affects it. If it doesn't, you're happy to just continue. If it does, however, you will need good old masking tape, just to mask the area off that says, I don't know, like Philips or Neff, just to make sure. We can't test every appliance, so we can't tell you which ones will come off and which ones won't, but be aware there is a possibility, if it's a cheap vinyl transfer, it will, but for the most part the ones we found don't come off. So I'm coming back round now, getting back to the pedal where I started, so I know my starting point. And just coming round, and you can see the line where I started now. I don't know whether you can see that on film, but I certainly can. And then just have a look round firstly for areas you may have missed, or where there may be you've got a bit of excess on. There we go, and I'm just giving it a little tease round, checking there are no ridges or lips. And the black plastic, I think you'll agree, looks a lot nicer. I'm just going to do the pedal now, and again I'm going to coat the plastic on the pedal as well. It makes it look nice and shiny and new. And that's it. Now the sponge, you let it dry, it will go hard. You just cut it with scissors, and then you can reuse it again and again. Same with the cloth. If you only use a particular area of this cloth, then you just use a different area next time you use it. So we'll pop that down there. We'll pop the lid back on the coating, but as you saw, I used very, very little. It doesn't even look like any of it's been used when I look inside. So there it is, that's the PC 279. Coating has now been applied, and it will now dry within, it'll be touch dry within 15-20 minutes at room temperature. It will, however, look patchy as it dries. What we always say is when you've finished, stand it somewhere out of the way, it's not going to get knocked or bumped, and then come back in 20 minutes, otherwise you'll be thinking, oh, I must have missed a bit. If you have missed a bit, don't go back at this stage. Wait until you've completely let it dry, and if you thought there was a bit you missed, you can just touch that little area up. Because the product is self-annealing and self-leveling, it's like an invisible repair. So the bit you missed, you only had to do that bit and then let it dry. This is the completed job. It's still a little bit wet, but now it's fully protected, and you can see the gleam and the shine that's come into it. It will now never fingerprint again. You won't get fingerprints on it. It won't grease spot. It will remain like that. I need to talk about aftercare and maintenance. It's more about what not to do than what to do. The only thing you need to do with this appliance from here on in is to use a damp cloth. No cleaning products, anything like that, just a damp cloth. If there's something then there's a bit hard, a bit of food maybe that's dried on, you would just have to soak it, or you could use a mild detergent. You could use CR24 again as a cleaner, but there really is no need. The thing is completely sealed now, it's encapsulated in a very hard skin. Nothing can penetrate into the stainless steel. Things to avoid: harsh solvents, and they're the ones with the orange labels on in your cleaning cupboard. You'll probably find it in glass cleaner. They have a little bit of amount of alcohol in there. The next one is a harsh abrasives. Don't use anything that is abrasive on this surface because you will damage it. And the third one is putting anything else on it. I mean, there's a big thing out there with baby oil. No need for baby oil. And don't use wire wool. So nothing abrasive, nothing solvent. Just look after it. Wipe it down when it gets a bit dirty. The dirt will be on the coating, not on the product itself. So there we go. I hope you have fun, and your kitchen will be gleaming. It'll save you lots of work. Once it's done, you won't ever have to do it again. So there we go. There it is.